All right, guys, I have a special treat for you. I have Christy Taylor on with me. And believe it or not, this woman is 60. And I have brought her on because number one, I really enjoy her. Number two, she is also a dating coach for men. So she is very comfortable delivering helpful information to guys like you. And then number three, I've been getting so many guys recently writing back to me and saying, oh, your stuff's geared towards women who are younger, which I'm going to say right now, my stuff is geared to every man, not men who are younger. Maybe I mentioned bar a couple of times. That's because I wrote certain programs in my 20s and 30s. But everything still applies now in every arena and with all women. Because at the core of most of my programs, it's about getting confident, getting clear on who you are, what you want, and expressing your wants to the women that you're around. I have Christy Taylor who's going to come on and talk to us about dating women who are, let's say, 55 plus. Or what's the category, do you think, where it shifts? Is there like a difference for 60 plus to 55? You tell me, Christy. I want to hear from you.
Well, there are kind of some shifts from 50 to 60 to 70. And then God love you, 80, it happens. But I'll say that for my master class because I've got statistics.
Oh, good.
But in general, it does change because you are completely different. Most of the people that are single after having been in a long-term relationship, whether it's a marriage or
a widow, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the game does change and your priorities change, and you're no longer looking for someone that is going to help kind of build your foundation as much as you are looking for somebody that's going to help you fulfill how you want to feel for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so tell me more about this. Tell me about, like, expand on those differences. Because I would say at the core, attraction is probably still the same, but maybe the ways to deliver it are different. So tell me more.
I think the thing is we're not so much looking for the first date as we are the second date and the third date. And so earnest is what's going to capture our attention.
I would say at 40, I have the same reaction. Like that's what I'm looking for as well. So I don't really know if that shifts. And to be honest, I wanted that in my 20s too, coupled with fun. And I would say that would probably be true for you as well. You don't want like just a really forthcoming, earnest guy. You still want somebody that shows, oh, I can enjoy life with you. Or actually, I'm putting words in your mouth. Is that true at 60?
Yes, but if this guy is on dating videos, learning how to be fun, and he is not the fun guy, he's the nice guy. But funny only works when somebody is genuinely funny. So if what you try to be instead is who you are and connect with kindness, but if you get comfortable with the fact that what you bring to the table is enough and focus on that and bring that into the conversation, it's going to go much better for you. And if I could give one piece of advice for anybody, is to really listen and try and figure out who that person is and then build from there.
So you're talking about how connection is really important to you. Well, let me ask you a question. Flirting, like, what does flirting look like from your perspective at 60? What how do you actually define it? Is it being playful with somebody? Is it somebody touching you? Is it somebody speaking to you a certain way? Like what is flirting at 60?
Well, you've got those courses on that you offer, and men, pay attention to those. Watch them as much as you can, take what you can, learn what you can. But for me, the best form of flirting is when someone makes me feel heard.
So spell that out. So give me an example of a man signaling to you that he's looking, like literally acted out as the man, right? You're on a date and you're talking and he says, what?
Well, that's totally different from what I was going to talk about.
I want to know like the exacts, right? Because like these are wonderful things that you're saying, but I don't get it. Too esoteric. So I want, like, what does a guy have to do to show I'm listening? Because for other guys, they're like, my ears are here. I'm hearing you. But I'm listening on every date. Right?
Okay. So when someone is talking to me, for one thing, they're looking at my face. And if we
But
go into
looking deadpan at your face like this,
Huh?
like looking deadpan at your face like this. I'm seriously asking for specifics because these are the things that are helpful for guys. It's like, what from a woman's point of view, if I'm looking at a man, what do I have to do to show that I'm engaged?
Okay.
Right?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Let's do like baby steps. I want to go through baby steps. It
All right.
looks like a guy looking like this.
Yes.
But that's
Okay.
me saying it, right? But
Right.
I want to see what you
So
interpret as.
leaning, I don't know if you can see my hands, leaning forward. If you lean in and then you kind of, you're looking at her eyes, you're kind of maybe looking at her hair a little bit, maybe on the cheeks, but you're listening. You don't want to make it look like you're using a formula. Just be yourself. If you have trouble with eye contact and you just hyper focus on doing what we told you to, it's going to be uncomfortable. And that is, something you need to practice in the mirror, practice with your friends, get your best friend and say, how am I looking? Literally,
Yeah.
am I looking?
Am I freaking you out, or
Am
do
I
you want to
freaking
have
you out?
sex with
Yeah.
me right now?
So,
Exactly.
when they're telling you about the dog that they lost or their ex-husbands, you really are listening hard.
Like, I get it. I can
get
see how that would be hard. I can see how that would be exciting. I can see
Right.
how that would be scary.
Also, though, pay attention with how many times you interrupt her to tell her that you're getting it. Because when you interrupt somebody in flow, it's distracting. So you wait until she's finished downloading. Give it a couple extra seconds, and then you can respond. The less you say, the more they will talk.
Mhm.
And the more they will think, wow, this guy's really a good listener. And then you can say something like, I am so sorry. I did not hear a word that you said because I just keep thinking how beautiful you are. You can put your hand on her arm and say, am I creeping you out right now? You create sexual tension and then you pull back.
So interesting. So basically, you just told me that flirting is the same at 60 as it is.
Whatever.
It is.
So no, it's true. Flirting is the same, but I guess the difference is it's really hard to teach old dogs new tricks. And if you're not good at being funny, don't try and say something funny.
But if there were skills to work on and to maybe learn at an older age, maybe it is tapping into your sense of humor or your wit that you do have. Maybe you have a dry sense of humor. Maybe you have a dark sense of humor, right? Maybe I think
you'll know that though by now. But I mean,
but some people are afraid to let that side of them out there because of
Right.
how they think people will take it in, especially women. They think that their humor that they have with the guys, yes, it does have to alter a little bit, but they can't be the funny way that they are with guys that they are with women. There are slight things that you have to alter, but if you do have a sense of humor with your friends, that means you do have a sense of, I don't know, there's many people who don't really have a sense of humor. And if they don't, then I don't know, I feel sad for those people who don't really have like some level of humor. Because that, to be honest, that for the majority of women out there and people, humor, enjoying another person, listening, all of those things coupled together are what make a great date and what create a connection. Yes, listening is super important, and it's more important as you get older. The percentages shift, I would say, but like you still have to have a good time with that person, right?
Well,
you can't
okay.
just feel like you've been listened to for an hour if you're not getting anything back from that person and if you're not actually enjoying yourself and having like a nice conversation.
Okay, so maybe that's different. The reason that I'm trying to shy a little bit away from humor being something that if you don't have, you're dead in the water, because if you don't have it and you lead with that, you're dead in the water.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Anything
Right.
false that you're using somebody else's lines for, right? That's not going to work.
But humor is so different. It's like the difference between intellect. When somebody says, I want somebody that's smart. Well, does that mean, you want somebody that knows how to rewire a car?
Program a computer? Exactly. It's like, what kind of intellect do you value? Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
The more, you guys get to know me, you'll realize that humor is my thing. I
Yeah.
get funnier, but I'm not
Well,
so serious.
well, let me ask you a
But
question. So when it comes to men and stability, and this is you just answering for you, but you probably talk to other women in your age category who are also single, but they also may come from the same socioeconomic background as you. Does money matter more as you get older?
no.
Things. What are you
Well,
looking
okay,
for?
79% of the women over 50 look for kindness. 79%. Because we want somebody that we're going to love for the rest of our lives. And I think in general, when you're thinking about a relationship long term for the rest of your life, you just think, I want somebody to outlive me. So weight is a factor. And
In what way? In what way?
health, we're looking at a man's weight to see, first of all, is he taking care of himself?
Hmm.
And because we don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, you're
And
done taking care of people,
yeah,
right?
we're done.
Yeah.
So we want to know that you're a big boy enough to be able to manage that stuff. And then if you are overweight, there's two things you can do. There's two ways to handle that. One of them is you can get a fitness program. That's so important at our age that I think that's something you should be concentrating on more than your humor at this point, because it's a deal breaker unless you are completely at peace with it and you've got longevity in your family and they were heavy and you're just,
Yeah, you got
it's
lots of
just
energy. You're still
yeah,
passionate. Yeah.
it's who you are. And if it's who you are, women are going to be attracted to you.
So you're
But if
talking about the lack of health of the guy who's like, I've got this ailment, I have this ailment, I'm stuck at home, I can't go out. Is that what you're talking about when you're talking about weight and being healthy?
I'm talking about things that women are just knee-jerk reacting to.
Right.
And kindness is first and foremost. And if your profile does not reflect your weight or your physical appearance accordingly, you're not going to get a second date. And
Okay.
no matter how funny or how much you listen, you're going to lose her. But if who you are is heavy and you show up and you present that and you listen and you're
And you're still full of life,
yeah,
right?
full of life,
Yeah.
playful,
Yeah.
then
That's what it
you know
is. That's
it's
what I
going
hear
to
you saying. It's like there's two kinds of people. There's the person who from first glance doesn't look like they're taking care of themselves, right? There's another person who may not look like they're taking care of themselves, but after 2 seconds, you're like, he doesn't
dude.
care and it's fine because he's going to take care of me. Right. So and so that's what you're looking for. It's like how much
And
work.
more importantly than he's going to take care of me. He's comfortable.
Yeah.
He likes his life. He's comfortable in his own skin. So we care about the way a man looks because
Yeah.
what that tells us our level of how much we're going to have to work.
Right.
We all want to play. And I think it's being more playful than funny.
Yes.
And
I
there's a
agree with you.
difference. And playful is easy. Playful's an attitude. You can even if you're going to go to pull out her chair, you as she's sitting down, you pull it out a little farther. You can just learn how to be playful, and you want to make the next 10 years the best 10 years of your life. But what you have to do is look for compatibility in areas that you wouldn't normally look for. Like, I don't even want to mention the obvious, but political divides. Don't discount someone that doesn't think the same as you politically, because if you're connecting, you might change their minds. And if you're connecting, they may change yours. But if it's a your deal breaker, then that's unfortunate. But what you want to do is assess up front what level of importance that is for that other person. Say, so for instance, if I leaned in this direction, but I understand this about that, would I be somebody you'd be willing to date?
Are you comfortable on dates? Like, is it okay to bring up your divorce on a first date? Like, are there certain, don't talk about these things on the first date topics that you like or don't like?
100%. Don't talk about things that are negative.
So what if it's a negative thing, but you talk about it positively? Are you more okay with it then?
If you put a positive spin to it, if you're like, my wife left me and it was with my best friend, but it's all good. No. What you say is, my wife left me and I figured out why. And if you haven't figured it out, leave it off the table, because it's just going to make you look like you've got a deficit that you haven't made peace with yet, even if it wasn't your fault.
Right.
And blaming someone for anything that's happened to you is a red flag, I think. So figure out why it happened.
Okay.
It's not the rule, but more than likely, when people get divorced, both people are responsible.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
if your wife had an affair because you worked so hard, you couldn't do that and make her feel loved and understood. That wasn't your time, but you've realized it. And now guess what? It is your time. And that's why the listening thing is huge.
Mhm.
It's huge. If you can have somebody think, God, but they're really paying attention.
They're really paying attention, but they're also, it shows that they really pay attention to themselves, right? They've really done the work on themselves and they can own things. That's my definition of masculinity, like taking true ownership. And it's something we like, I teach to my boys all the time. My husband and I, it's like, you have to take ownership of how you were a part of this situation that happened. Not he did this, I did this. It's no, you know what? I see how what I did could have contributed to the outcome that happened. And I think that shows a certain maturity and it's very masculine.
So the key word here is maturity.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. And
Yeah.
you've got that more now than you ever have in your life. And incidentally, if you're dyeing your hair anything but gray, stop it, because maturity is beautiful.
Especially it sucks, but it's more so for men. That's the awful thing. I mean, for you, it's beautiful, but for so many men, I see like trying to save that last piece of hair and dyeing it. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You're so much more attractive with like,
yeah, maturity is sexy. It's just,
I think so too.
When you own who you are in your 60s, maturity is a beautiful thing for men and women. You know, the idea of dating a grown-up and a woman that is seated in who she is and where she is, and also her sexuality, it gets more comfortable as we get older.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then that's an opportunity.
Which I love. I have one final question, and then I want to wrap this up because I think this is really great information. Okay, so the other night I have a weekly coaching call that you've actually come on to a couple of times before in the past, and somebody was asking about, okay, so I've set up a date with somebody that I've met online, but I'm not meeting them until next week. How much communication should be had between now and that date? And I said none, because most likely you're not going to really give anything real in that communication and it can potentially fizzle it. But I did say one caveat: if it's women who are 50 and up, it slightly changes. You might have a little bit more communication in between, or what I actually advise to do is to say, once you've set up a date, I'm going to be busy over the next 5 days, but I'm excited to see you on Saturday, and I'll message you that day to tell you what the plans are, so that you at least inform the woman before. I want to know your opinion on that. Like, how important is it to communicate? Okay, good.
I got this. So if you're paying attention, you're reading who she is, and she may be somebody that is uncomfortable with you waiting and might be looking to the guy that's contacting her every day. And between Monday and Friday, she could have an entire relationship built by then, because time is of the essence. And that, I think, is the biggest difference. We're not wasting time. We don't have it. We're not interested in playing games. We're not interested in the man that seems unavailable, but you absolutely don't want to seem too eager. Love bombing doesn't work at any age. You want to pay attention to how much she's been reaching out to you, what her level of response is. If she gets back right away with you, if she waits a couple of days, then yeah, wait a couple of days. Nothing wrong with touching base.
And how do you do that then? So here's the thing. So even from my perspective, if somebody says, okay, we're hanging out on Wednesday, and then they write to me in between, if it's something of value, I'll engage and I get it. But if it's fluff, I don't like it. No. It's weird. I'm like, I'm going to see you in 3 days and I'll tell you all about this. Yeah.
For one thing, you're busier than we are.
Right.
Say, let me ask you, What's your level of engagement? Would you like me to check in between now and then?
See, I like that.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Don't play games. Don't think that you have to be aloof or busy or just be who you
No,
are.
well, the reason that I'm asking is because a lot of guys tend to see the pattern of they set up a date and then they fluff. They fluff for the next 4 days.
Yes.
You ruin the attraction because there's nothing of substance there. So I like what you've said. Either you gauge for yourself if you feel like you're that in tune with the woman. You either just leave it, but you inform her that, you'll be in touch on the day of, or you ask and say like, hey, like, how would you like our level of engagement to be in between the date? I know that seems cheesy to ask, but I want to ask because it seems like it's something that would be important to you. Like it's really just being honest and forthcoming, which I love. And I do think that that's more important as you get older. Just like cutting the bullshit and just saying like, here's the deal. I know this seems weird, but do you like this? Do you not like that? Great. Now we know how both of us function and I can act accordingly for you if that feels comfortable for me. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I wanted to tell people if they wanted to find out more information about you and the type of coaching that you do, they can go to Dateable, which is d8able.com and learn more about Christy because you are really amazing for guys who are dating women who are 50 and up. Thanks,
Thank
Christy.
you, Marnie.